there was never a dull moment in your household. I can
Never.
imagine that. Never a dull moment. And so, were you born and raised in Boston?
Born in Boston, I moved out of Boston at a young age. We moved from Boston to California,
Oh,
and this
okay.
was like around the time King of Stage, Don't Be Cruel. We moved, the whole family moved from Boston to California, and then we moved from California to Atlanta, and I've been here ever since.
So
And I've
you're in
just been
Atlanta
back
now.
and forth. I'm in Atlanta now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I've been back and forth between
So we
in
got
my
to meet up
younger
one day,
years.
Shane. We got to meet up one. We got to meet up one day.
Oh, you in Atlanta?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, that's dope. Yeah, I'm in Atlanta. Yeah. So
Okay.
I grew up here. In my younger years when I was getting in trouble back and forth from school, I would be back and forth between here and Boston, but for the most part, I spent my years here.
Okay. So I just noticed you posted a picture of your parents on Instagram. Nice shot, by the way. And so I want
Thank
to
you.
get into that. Was it always a two-parent household? Did it become a single-parent household? I know you have siblings and you have a bunch of cousins. So what was it like in the Shayne Brown household growing up?
I grew up in a single parent household. Just
Oh, okay.
my mother, just my mother. Yeah, I grew up in a single parent household. Just my mother. Shout out to my mother, Tina Brown.
Shout out to
But
Tina Brown.
my dad was active. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I was going to ask you
My
about
dad,
that.
yeah, my dad was active in my life. I lost my dad some years back
Mm,
to suicide.
mm.
But yeah, my dad was active in my life. But I grew up in a single parent household.
So you did have his presence
I
until
did have his
when?
presence though.
Until
Yeah,
what age?
my dad passed away. My dad passed away like right after Auntie Whitney passed because it was like we took a big hit. Like
Oh,
it
so
was
it was
my
around that time.
yeah,
Oh,
my grandmother passed in January. Then my grandfather passed in December of that same year. Then Auntie Whitney passed, that February. The following
mm,
year, then my dad
yeah.
passed like around
Mm.
June, July of that same year, like a few months after
So you
Auntie
was
Whitney
already an
blew up.
adult.
I was an adult. Yeah, I was an
Okay.
adult.
But I mean, it's still,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a void nonetheless. It don't
Oh
matter
yeah.
what
Oh
age,
yeah. Oh yeah.
but at least you still had some time with him, growing up. And so during that time growing up, and it's so important. That's why I want to kind of specify both parents being present, because how important was that to you? And maybe you didn't understand it at the time when you were younger, but going backwards right now in your childhood, how important was both parents' presence in your life, in your own words?
It was it was good. It was it was needed. I will say this: once I moved from Atlanta, I mean, once I moved from Boston and was stationed here in Atlanta, I would see my dad every summer. We would do the summers on Martha's Vineyard,
Okay.
and
Oh, Martha's Vineyard.
yeah,
Nice.
we would do. I'm from Boston, so the island ain't too
Yeah.
far. So we would do the summers
Yeah.
in Martha's Vineyard. Always, it was important, man. Both my parents was active in my life. Both two strong individuals who came from their own upbringing.
Upbringing.
Had
Yes.
some troubles along the way, and they did their best with me though.
Mhm. Yeah, we'll get into that, but I wanted to know, like, who was more the disciplinarian?
Ah man, neither one.
Neither one.
My mother sort of reminded me of me because I'm not really a disciplinarian. I'd be having an issue with that with my kids' mothers too because I just be I ain't really have a childhood. You know what I'm saying? I didn't experience a childhood like that for real. So it's like I be wanting my kids to experience a child, just enjoy themselves. And sometimes,
You have to have structure as well.
right, I'm
You
not
know,
as strong as I should be, but I'm working on it.
you work on, yeah, you
My
working on it.
kids is my heart, man, and it
Yeah,
just be
yeah.
hard. I mean, I let them get their way. Sometimes I might let them run over me, and I
Oh,
hear it all the time. But
yeah.
it's
There
my
has to be a
it's my
balance.
baby.
Yeah, I do understand where you're coming from, Shane, and that, because when you're growing up, you want to make sure that your children don't see you, they don't, you don't want them to fear you to the point where they're just like walking on eggshells, to the point where they can't really be themselves around you. You want to have
Right.
that authenticity around your children, but at the same time, they have to understand that there is a line that's drawn, because you're not different.
Right. Right.
Just keep that in mind. You're not different. So,
Right.
but I get your aspect of it as well. So going back, so I always like to go into um elementary, junior high school. If you can remember that far, how was it for you then? Because people don't talk about that. Like, did you were you in any extracurricular activities? Did you get in
Uh,
trouble a lot? Did you have teachers that you would inspired you?
Elementary school, man. I loved elementary school.
Okay, see, so
I
you good
loved
memory.
elementary. I used to always be in the spelling bees, and I used to always
Ah,
win them.
you went, yeah, I won a couple too.
My dad's mama, rest in peace to her. She used to have all my awards. Like I used to win a whole
Ah,
bunch of
yeah,
awards. Math. I used to love middle school. I mean, I'm sorry. I used to love
elementary.
elementary. Things changed a little bit once I got out of elementary, but we'll get there.
Yeah. So let's go there now. How did it change?
Um, once I got into middle school and I, was 11, 12, 13, I started feeling myself a little bit,
Hmm. Hmm.
11, 11, 12, started, smoking weed. I'm into girls now.
Yes. That's exactly why I said that. That's a pivotal time, especially in middle school, because you're finding yourself, you're learning more about your anatomy. I was talking about this in my last interview with Jay Morgan. Catch that, check it out, by the way.
I will.
Yes. Yes. So we was talking about, like, in middle school, you're finding yourself, your anatomy, you're going through puberty, you're dry humping in the staircase. It's just so much that you get
Right,
into, and that peer pressure is strong. So I'm glad you said that. You
right,
know.
right.
Yeah, so you got into smoking weed, you got into what other stuff?
At that age, it's just smoking weed, girls. Um, that was my thing.
Okay. And so mommy asking, so when was your first time? Was it in junior high? Because I know most boys is very young that they
Yeah, my first time was middle school.
that's what I
Yeah,
thought.
middle
Yes, because
school.
that
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, my a true story. My mother knew instantly. She knew that. Like she knew instantly. Like within, I just got
yeah,
done 20 minutes ago when I walk in the house, and she's like, "You
she
just
she
lost
snipped
your
you.
virginity, huh?"
Yeah, yeah. Moms have that, they bloodhounds. They're bloodhounds like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she knew. She must
How
have
does
smelled it.
she
I don't
react?
know.
How did you and your dad react? How did she and your dad react?
I had a crazy upbringing when it come to my dad, man.
Mm,
My dad was a pimp. He was involved in the streets.
okay, okay. Wow,
So,
wow.
and that's why one of the reasons why I'd be overprotective with my kids too, because I was
Mhm.
exposed to so much as a child that I'm real. I move different with mine.
Yeah, so when you say your dad was a pimp at that time, he was about that life. He was in the streets.
Yeah.
So did you find that you were growing up, they became your family as well? The people that
But
he
I remember, man. Pardon my French, but just
Mhm.
I would be on the host roll at 5 years old. My father
Mm.
would try to groom us, his sons, to be a part of that lifestyle. So imagine you being 5, 6, 7 years old, and I don't know if you ever seen what a host roll looks like, a real actual like what
Yeah, I grew up in the Bronx. Yes, I have. Mhm.
hundreds of women on the corner
Yes.
running from
Mhm.
car to car, nothing but lingerie on. I'm
Mhm.
seeing this at 5, 6 years old.
Yeah, yes, I grew up with
So
that. Yeah.
it messed me up mentally, you know, uh,
Yeah, wow.
and
So your father so
it
why did
gave
your
me,
father so that I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
and I ain't gonna lie, it gave me like a sex addiction, man. I can't even
Oh,
lie.
did it?
It
Oh, we
cha-
definitely
it
gotta
just
oh, we
opened
gotta
my
get to that.
it opened
Yes.
my mind up to a whole,
Yeah,
and
so I can see why you've started early. Okay. So
yeah.
so when your dad's why did he feel the need to put you out there like that? Or like you said, groom you um or wanted to get you into that lifestyle? Like why would he think that that would be the ideal thing for for his son to pursue or
Well, it
to
wasn't just
aspire
me. Rest in peace to my dad, and this don't take nothing away from my pops, man.
to?
My pops had like 14 kids, so it wasn't just me. I got older brothers and little younger brothers and stuff.
Mhm.
At this time, he was heavy in the streets, and that was his life, and he just wanted to groom his sons to be just like him, So it'd be he would take
Mm.
all me and my brothers there, so it'd be me and like three or four of my brothers, and
Yeah,
he'd be
'cause he
trying
didn't know
to.
any better. He didn't know nothing else.
I'm not gonna, he was a grown man.
Yeah.
It's not, it's he was a grown man. It wouldn't be something that I would do with my children. Um,
Well,
but
how much was your mom like? How much did she know about all this?
at this time, I'm four. I'm young, 5, 6. I'm going back and
Back and
between
forth, right.
my parents. At this time also, I got my dad's side, they in the streets. My mom's side, they come from the streets as well. But now my uncle is a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
I got it from both ends, man.
Yes, yes, and yes, we'll definitely get to that because I do understand, like, now I'm starting to get more into, um, you know, how non-conventional your family is because you couldn't help but to get into all the things you got into, based on what you were taught and based on what you experienced. So so we're still in junior high school. You're saying that you know, that Cheerios pop very young, and then you got into some things. You're experimenting right now. You're getting so much into that. So now, just based off of that, and based on what we just covered just now, you experience enough, more than a grown man would, more than a grown man would in just junior high school alone, just up into junior high school alone.
Oh man,
So
listen,
yeah,
I
I
be
mean, so
saying like my
I
my
can imagine.
life, my
Mhm.
life was like growing up was like really sex, drugs, and R&B for real.
Yes,
You know how
yeah,
people say
you part of the
sex,
rock
drugs, and rock
star.
and
Yeah,
roll?
yeah,
I
you're
come
part
from
of
an
the rock
R&B
star.
background,
You come
so
from that background, exactly. And so you go and you how was your transition from junior high into high school? What high school did you go to, by the way?
high school. I went to high school. Okay, I got in. I was, like I said, I was getting in trouble here. Then I would go back to Boston. Then I would get in trouble in Boston, and I would come back here. So I would flip
Back
flop.
and forth. You flip flopping. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did that affect your overall performance though in school?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. Once I hit middle school, I had no more interest in
Mm,
school no more.
mm.
Um, yeah, once I hit middle school, I had the kid that I was in elementary, the one, the kid that loved to go to school and loved to do spelling bees, and that wasn't I wasn't that kid no more once I got into middle
Grown up
school.
stuff, grown
Yeah,
stuff that you should not
at
have
this
gotten into.
yeah, now at this point, I done seen so much. My mind is somewhere else now. So
So yeah.
school was out of the question for me, honestly.
Okay, but so when you're saying that you went back and forth between, like in high school, why was that? Why did you have that structure? Why was that the thing for you at that time? What was going on with you?
Um, I think mainly growing up with me in middle school and elementary. I mean, middle school to high school, things was moving so fast in my life. You understand? Like I said, Uncle B was who he was. There's no secret, my family came from a drug background.
Mhm.
So my things was wild for me back in those days. You understand? So um my mother was heavy into her addiction, my dad heavy into his addiction. I mean, so it was like I just was rebelling.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was just
because it's
rebelling.
like, yeah. So did you have anyone like so during the time when your family, because I can relate to this as well based on what you're talking about, my family being, of that. And I was raised by someone else at that time, go from junior high up until, I was on my own. So
Right,
I get your stories resonate with me as well.
right.
Now, so Did you have anyone that you looked up to, anyone in your life that was able to kind of guide you towards a different direction, as your family was doing what they were doing? Did you have anyone that was more solid, that was able to kind of talk you out of certain things, or, give you some type of mentorship or some type of guidance towards
Well,
a
I
different.
had my mother and I had my grandmother trying to, my grandmother, man, I put her through,
Mm,
hell. But yeah, I had my mother and my grandmother try to guide me, but I think I was so much, you know, I was in so much in that rebelling stage that I wasn't trying to hear nothing, and then I got, I don't want to jump too much ahead, but I started selling drugs at 13 years old,
mm.
and
It started from there. Mm,
once I started smoking weed and stuff around 11. Then I started selling drugs about 13. And then shit from there was like, you can't tell me nothing. Couldn't nobody tell me nothing growing up.
right. Yeah, because
Um,
because you was already in. I mean, you was deep in it.
yeah,
You
couldn't
was
nobody
deep in
me
it.
growing up, couldn't
Yeah.
nobody tell me nothing. And that's been since I was probably
Yeah.
damn
Mm,
in middle school.
right. Did you end up graduating from high school?
Nah, I didn't actually. Nah, okay, so like I told you, I wasn't in the school no more. Once I
Mm.
got into elementary, I mean middle school,
You was in the streets.
so
Okay.
I wasn't in the
Right.
school no more. So then I get into high school. I moved with my grandmother. I'm going to high school here in Atlanta, and I used to tell my grandmother. She used to be like, "Man, go to get me up for school." And I used to tell her every day, like, "Ma," because I looked it up that the law was when you were 16, you can drop out on your own.
Mm,
That's what my mind was. So uh, I remember just always telling my grandmother, like, "Mom, when I'm 16, I'm dropping out." So then I
mm,
drop out, and
mm,
she's trying to encourage me to go to school. Like I told you, at this point, Uncle B is a big star, and Uncle was always like, "Man, what school?
mm,
We ain't doing no school, nigga. We doing touring and we doing music and we doing this F
mm,
school."
mm.
So
Okay.
when he
So,
was,
so he was, yeah. So he was on board with you. Just dropping out of school and just living that fast life, living that life.
yeah, he
Okay.
was just like, "Man, we ain't doing no school, man. We Browns. We do
Okay.
music."